Welcome to Did She Really Say That? The podcast for women who are done following the traditional business rules that don't serve us. I am your host, Katrina Van Housden, and in every episode, we break down what it really takes to scale your business as a woman. No burnout, no BS, no apologies. So if you're ready to discover how your natural female intelligence can become your biggest and most authentic advantage, grab your free guide at createherplanner.com/free. Now let's dive into today's episode. Well, welcome to this episode of Did She Really Say That? And I promise you, ladies, when you're listening to this episode with Kathy Brooker, you're going to hear us say this a lot. Why? Because she is a force of nature. Oh my God. She is the CEO of Marvelous Light Empowerment Association, otherwise abbreviated just to a simple LEA. MLEA. See, I'm even stumbling over it. This is an amazing nonprofit organization really dedicated to changing lives of families and individuals. And how is she doing this? She's providing amazing tools, resources that are necessary, not like optional, but truly necessary to develop those physical, mental, spiritual, and financial thoughts through tons of services. This woman has got services beyond services. So if you're a lady and a female here in the Atlanta area, you absolutely want to start connecting with Kathy like today, okay? What I love about what Kathy has also done is underneath this umbrella, she's established an incredible university called Women's University. Ha! I think this is why I fell in love with her the moment before I even met her. So this university is really dedicated, this women's university is to build women, right? So we're talking about it is empowering women to launch successful businesses that are either in the Metro Atlanta area or across the states, right? We're really growing this, but it's providing opportunities, resources, thought leadership, you name it, networks, whatever you need as a female entrepreneur, she is your tag to person. She's received multiple accolades. I'm not going to dive into it all because we know that could be a really long topic and conversation, ladies. But she's doing amazing work through Women University. She is the proud mother of two incredible children and has two precious grandsons. So I am so happy to have you here with us today. Thank you for joining us, Kathy.
Thank you so much, Katrina, for inviting me. I'm so excited. Look, I am super duper glad that I have this opportunity to hang out with you on this episode.
Well, we're going to have some fun because I know that when we first chatted, there was something that you kind of brought up, and I know I kind of briefly mentioned it, though you actually are certified as a gift coach, and
Hmm.
you've actually co-authored a book called The Kiss Destiny Fears
Right.
Goodbye. So when you were talking about this gift coaching, I was like fascinated by what this actually means and the shift that it created for you. So tell me how you got into being certified as a gift coach. I think every audience, you get ladies, you really need to hear this.
Look, Katrina, it's just really odd, like how I ran across it, right? And so I was at a ministry like revival of some sort, right? And so this speaker there, she mentioned this book. And
Mm.
so I was asking everybody, did y'all hear what she said? I'm like, okay, she said, discover your gifts. What did she say? What's the name of the book? Where do I get it? Nobody in the room knew what I was talking about.
What?
Not one person. I said, are y'all kidding me? I'm not the only one who heard her. So, I'm like, okay, I got to get to this lady before she leaves here. And so I ran to the front of the building, to catch her before she left. She told me the name of the book. I read it, Discover Your God-Given Gifts, and the rest was history. I reached out to the author. I was like, okay, you guys got to tell me that you are teaching people how to teach this, right? When I tell you that once I read the book and reached out and took the training that they gave, to be certified, my life changed forever,
Mm.
forever. And even to this day, it's not popular. People still don't know what is a gift coach, right? Or a gift teacher.
Well, they will now. After hearing this episode, if they don't know what a gift coach is or a certified gift teacher is, they're going to discover this because this is really a backbone of training for anybody that you work with. This is like a mandatory, required essence of understanding your God-given gifts and then
Absolutely.
how to bring that forward. So, all right, so you've gotten certified. Now what? Like, what does life look like now?
So, you know what? The minute once that weekend was just so eye-opening. I was laughing, I was crying, and seeing people that I live and love and, and work with and all these things. And so, at that point, when I came back home for the weekend, I ended up telling my husband, like we were just talking, and then just all of a sudden, out of the conversation, just me listening, it's like the awareness kicked in immediately,
Yep.
right? And I was able to recognize at least what one of his gifts were. And I said, "Oh my God, you are compassion." And because that is the total opposite of my gift, Katrina, the total
Mm.
opposite.
So you're not compassion.
Uh, uh, uh,
A little.
a tad
It's
bit.
in there.
So,
It's in there.
it's 7 gifts, right?
Right.
And so I scored the lowest. Okay, sorry. But sorry,
Hey,
not
you're being real, but that's the thing. Is like we expect as women. I'm going to jump in here because we
sorry.
expect as women that we should have compassion. It should be like innate to us. It should be built into us. And so I actually love your transparency and authenticity around this because you're like, it's not my highest scoring thing. It's
It's
not
not.
who and how I've been designed. It's not the gifts that I've been really highlighted with. So listeners, women, there's nothing wrong with you.
That's
It's
right.
just learning how your gifts are gifted to you and finding balance and learning to work within those gifts, which is exactly what Kathy, does and works with on women. So, all right. So now you found out your husband's got like top compassion. Now what?
Top compassion. I'm like, oh my God, that's why we argue 24/7, like 24/7 clashing, right? And not me understanding it. So now I
Mm,
took upon myself, I knew I had the responsibility now to say, okay, I know better.
mm,
Right. I know that my gifts are strong. I'm very outspoken. I'm very people oriented. I'm very, a planner, like get things done, no excuses. Don't come to me with that. If you're not ready, look, I can tell you the things that you need to go do to get ready. Now go on off and come on back when you're ready so I can help you, and those
right.
different types of things. And so I learned how to manage my gifts,
I
right?
love that.
And so,
Yep.
and not scoring high and compassion, I guess I said it doesn't excuse me not to let it show up sometimes when I need to, right? And but when you're working in your working environment, I always knew who those people were, right? So I knew how to brace myself, how to get myself prepared for whatever they get ready to come and say to me, or whatever they need from me. Or guess what? If I'm in a leadership position on that particular project, I have a person that works closely with me with that gift that can
Yeah.
handle that person, what they need and how
Mm.
they need it. Just bring me back what they need. We can take care of them. You can deliver it the way that it needs to be delivered.
Yeah, I love that. It's a partnership that you start to create because you understand that there is different gifts that we each have. And so when you start working with people with different gifts that can able help extend the communication and speak to one another, I mean, as a leader, that's gold.
Absolutely. That's how now most of the people that know me and know that this is what I do, they were like, they will not hire another soul until they have them to take the gift assessment, right?
I love it.
Because I help them to understand. So as a leader, we help them to understand, as a supervisor, whatever you are, whatever you do, of
Yep.
course, when you're working with people, you're going to need grace.
Yeah, you are. Lots of
Okay.
grace.
And
Yep.
so now it won't have to be so much clashing and so much of you having to apologize or them feeling like you need to apologize. And we're feeling like, apologize for what?
Yeah.
But we can make this thing become that well-oiled machine that we need for it to be. Everybody working in a place in the area that they love, and everybody can get tired together. We can go eat afterwards and start again the next day, whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah.
So I do have a question around this assessment because I know that like the women on here, and I've talked with a couple of other women here that are on this podcast. Everyone has like an assessment of personality. Like some of them, I feel like they just kind of like, here's who you are, and good luck, figuring out
Right.
how to put this all together. So, like you created BestieFinder, which I
Yeah.
think is phenomenal. So in the world of okay, now we know what the gifts are, now we're doing this, and you're starting to like weave this into a business now, right?
Yes.
So you created BestieFinder. Explain how that works.
Right. So BestieFinder is based on discovering who you are, based on the gifts, period.
Okay.
So because I use that as discovering your gifts as the entry into whatever program I have. I do not care. We talk about money, I need to know your gifts. We're talking about building your business, I need to know your gifts. You know,
Agree.
and so that way I can tell which way, how to manage you or how to coach you, how to mentor you, whatever the case may be, right?
Right.
And so with BestieFinder, I'm like, you know what? This is the main thing that people really love, when they first get started, because it helps them to discover who they are
Yep.
authentically. Like what their DNA is, part of their DNA, what makes them rock, what makes them roll, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
What makes them lazy, what all of that. And
All
that's
of
like
it.
all of it from the,
Right.
from 0 to 100. It helps you to figure out just who you, and then it helps you to continue to be more of that. And so
Got it.
now when you figure out who you are, now we have a place where you can come and let's talk about it. Let's help you maneuver. Let's help you manage. Help you learn, right? And so inside, that's how I told one of my business partners, I was like, girl, look, we have Woman University. We have all these other things that we're doing out here. And I don't like going from one, go over here for that and go over here for this. I want everything in one place. And so we came up with BestieFinder.
I love it.
And so with BestieFinder, you can figure out at first it just started off just about the gifts. And
Okay.
now it's just evolved into so much more. Like you can come now, it's our own little proprietary, platform, and you get to come and hang out. You can chat about your gift if you find out that you're compassionate. And the majority of the people that take the assessment are compassionate, right? So
Mm.
we have more compassionate people in the world than we do anything else.
You're just balancing yourself out over there. I see how the universe is working with you on this.
Okay, so but now when you have somebody like me that's a perceiver or administrator or an exhorter, you can come and hang out in that particular group in a chat that we have for each particular group gifting.
Mm.
So you can figure out like, and my number one is exhorter. So I can go and have exhorter chats with people. Y'all want to do coffee, or whatever. We can just do something. So you can come and find people that are just like you, or where you can find people that are total opposite. So how do I deal with this
Mm.
particular situation? And they can come in. We have conversations about, we had this scenario. How did you handle it? How did you handle this compassion person? And so, because it's still, once you discover your gifts, you still got to take some time to get to understand
Know them?
those gifts. Yeah, you can know. Now that you know, I need for you to understand.
Yeah.
And now, again, like you were saying, just weave it into your everyday. You're that person anyway, but now it helps you to understand those people that are opposite of you.
Well, I think it's an awareness piece, right? And I think
Definitely.
as we grow and as we develop our skills and as in humanity in general right now, I think that there is this opening of awareness. So the first thing is self-awareness of self, right? Of who
Hmm.
you are in relationship to we, right?
Yes.
So when you start with yourself, you're not just developing you just to be a, more ego, more, ooh, this is who I am kind of a thing, right?
Right.
I think when you take that out of it, you're like, I'm learning myself so I can better communicate with the world around me. I
Absolutely.
understand who I am, but I might bump up against this person and this person. So how do I learn to communicate? How do I learn to um or find workarounds like a partner that can help me communicate? Like those are like the elements that what I really love what you're talking about because it doesn't what it forces you ladies to do that are listening
Hmm.
is to build community, to have teams. Recognize that
That's
solo entrepreneurship is not meant for us because I'm sure, we could even talk about that and see like, hey, Kathy, do you build your business by yourself?
absolutely not.
Why not?
Look, I can't do everything, even though I may feel like, most people may feel like I'm gifted and skilled to do it all, but you can't. You need to have, this is one of the things I love to tell people, Katrina, like
Okay.
when you're building a business or in your business, and now you realize that you need help. And so you go out there and get somebody that's well versed or very skilled in the area that you consider uh, kind of like your weakness, but the thing that you
Right.
don't want how to do it, but I don't want to do it. So you allow somebody else to come in that is skilled and gifted at in that area, and then don't you get upset because now they showing up and showing out. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they trying to steal my business. Oh, they want to take my idea and run off to Cuba. You know what I'm saying? No, they're
We
not
all
trying.
think that at women at one point. They're going to take my idea and then it's no longer mine and someone else. if you get the right people in, I swear to you, that is not even a thought process.
It is not. It is not. So that is why it is so important for people to understand the other gifts, right?
Yeah.
And so, and when you know that you can bring somebody in, like we had to bring a compassionate person on our team because me and my business partner, we speak, straight up, like no black or white, no in between, no maybes, no grays. Like I have a training class that I do. Some girl, they were trying to give me no excuses, so one was giving me an excuse, and then here comes another one trying to take up for her. I said, sweetie, we don't do maybes over here. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We do no maybes. So there are other ways to get around that and other things in place for you to take care of your business. And then
Yeah.
so now you learning who you are and not understanding your team is just still going to cause friction,
Oh, totally.
and then but now you need to help your team to understand what your gifts are. And
Yep.
then that way, like again, what you said, you create community, you create great communication, you create great unity, all of that, all inside of that
Yeah.
community.
Well, because it's really interesting. Like, if you've ever, ladies, have gone through like a business planning coaching session or done any types of business planning, when it's what's interesting, and what I had a lot of my mentors go through, it's like if you're starting to hire or bring together like your co-founding team or whatever you're building, one of the things they had us do was go through your strengths and and weaknesses. Literally list out your strengths and weaknesses as an individual. A lot of us have a hard time with that. So I think
Yeah.
when you're using BestieFinder, or even the gifts, right? Like you start to understand who you are. You have your team members or potential business partners or
That's
potential
right.
team members take this, and you start to understand who you're bringing onto your team. Not necessarily just, I think the who is way more important than what the job description is.
Absolutely.
Because if you can align the who with that job, right, then you're not going to have as much conflict. You're going to be able to communicate better. You understand your guys' strength and weakness. And I think the clarity around this BestieFinder is really what sets you apart in this conversation, and really what sets leadership apart, especially amongst
Come
women.
on. That's it. And you know what? I love what you just said. You're absolutely correct. And so, and then guess what? People see that chemistry. So that
Mm.
chemistry, like one of the young ladies that came on board with us, she just saw me and my business partner. We were just talking and we were planning. And we can have a conversation in 15 minutes, have a plan of everything that needs to happen. Girl, I
Yep.
got this idea. This is the vision. And she's like, yeah, we need to do this.
Mm.
And so she has that teacher gift. So she's about steps, everything being in order, rules, policies, all of these good things. And so just telling us what we need to do to make that thing happen.
Right.
Right. And she was like, what just happened right here? She said, whatever it is, I want to be a part of it. Right. And so people can see it, they can feel it. And again, just like you was just saying that it just causes you to just come to
Yeah.
so smoothly. Right.
Well,
Hmm.
and I think that's one of the big things. I know a lot of women and a lot of businesses in general, they struggle with culture.
Hmm.
They struggle with culture, and I think when you can understand the get different gifts, I think instead of doing a personality assessment, well, you're so individualized and you're trying to then slot people in. I think when you do a gift assessment and you use a tool like the Bestie Finder, what you're actually creating is a way to really make sure that that employee, that team member is a good fit, that they're going to enjoy this. Because one of the biggest things I hear all the time is, I want a place that I feel like I'm involved in. I want a company that I can support, that I can get behind. And I think when
That's
you're
right.
using a tool like gift finders, you naturally build that in. So it's not something that somebody has to now come and fix. It's that awareness in the very beginning. So Kathy, I applaud you for what you're building. It's just absolutely tremendous.
Thank you. It is a lot of fun too. It really is. Just to get to know people. And then when other people learn the gifts, and I love watching them sitting and talking about, oh, that person, oh,
Yep.
she's a server, she's a teacher. So it's only seven, guys. It's only seven. So,
Yeah. It's
when you talk
easy.
about the right, easy peasy. And it's all about you. It's not about what people think you ought to be or what you think you ought to be
Yep.
according to these, other personality gifts. These are things that is based on your characteristics,
I
the
love
way
that.
that you were born, the way that you move, that you think you operate. Like when you're talking about some move fast and some move slow. I didn't realize that that was part of our giftings. So
Yep.
I have people who are super slow. And I was like, oh my God, you're just lazy. No, they're
They're
slow.
intentional.
And right. And they're not in a hurry like I am at that particular moment. So if
Yeah.
you want something from a compassion person, if you need it in a week, you better give them 2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so you just learn how to walk around and operate in the field and of gifts.
Yeah.
And they
No.
all are so beautiful, right? They're also beautiful. And when you see
Mm.
people operating in them, they are just as beautiful and happy, joyful, doing what they do. And so it just makes life easy for everybody on both sides. Because guess what? The real you, regardless of whatever you do, I don't care what kind of personality they told you that you have, according to you or color, if you're red or blue or you're a dog or a cat, they do the animals too, right?
They do everything. There's a disc, there's a strength finders, there's a
Right.
16 personalities, there's all sort. Oh my gosh. Sometimes it feels like you're in the weeds because there's like nuances and layers. When you can say 7, that's
Right.
comfortable. Right? Like, come
Exactly. So
on.
you got the 7, wherever you go, you're going to show it. The real you eventually, I don't care how long you've been hiding, being an imposter behind that thing that you've been doing pretty good at it, but you hated it, is eventually going to show up. If
Yeah.
it shows up in your home, in your friendships, and then it's eventually going to show up in your work.
All right, Kathy. So I got a bold question to ask you.
Okay.
So this podcast is called "Did She Really Say That?" I mean, we're about bold statements, being a
Hmm.
little authentic. Mind you, we are not we do have profanity. We're locked down to a certain age group because of the topics of conversations that we tend to sometimes have in here. So the question is that I'm basically giving you free reign to say whatever pops out of your mouth asking this
Oh,
question.
okay. Okay.
Okay. So if there's a swear word or something, feel free to say it.
Okay.
So you are a powerhouse woman. Have you ever came across a situation where you were talking to a client or a business or putting something together and they all stopped and looked at you and said, "Did she really say that?"
You know what? That is a great question and it's absolutely funny because I do ministry a lot, right? I minister to women and, good stuff. And so with me having the gift of perceivers are the ones that say what comes up comes out, or because of our great discernment, right? And then sometimes we can see things and hear them, and hear things that they don't necessarily know that we heard and they don't necessarily know that they said, right? And so yes, I have. And so this might seem it's this is the first thing popped in my head. So I was talking to this young lady and she was having marital problems. And I already knew the background of the marriage and the husband and the things. And so she called me one night and she was just so upset. And she said, he left me. I said, oh my God, girl, celebrate. That's like,
That's not what she wanted to hear, probably.
she started in the middle, but she didn't tell me that. I said, girl, because I started just, oh my God, that's so great, girl. Celebrate, okay? Celebrate because it's been so much I was holding in that I knew and for your life and blah blah blah. I said, girl, just celebrate. It's okay. And so it took her years later to tell me she could not believe I said that. I said, celebrate. And I said it in a way that it was so, she said it was just so it just stabbed her like stop crying, and celebrate. You've been in misery all these years, and so if he left, and of course I'm all for marriage,
Right.
and not looking for anybody's marriage to break up and
Right.
and all of that. But if that's a thing that happened in that particular moment, you're gonna have to learn again. We have to pivot, how to turn on a dime. You know what I'm saying? And you just have to. It is what it is. That is the problem. Now, what's the solution?
Yeah.
So the first
That's
thing I told her to do, part of that solution was to celebrate. Yeah, I know.
And sometimes that's not the answer we want to hear, right? There's a lot of emotions that go through on that type and all the doubts we experience as women, everything we're going through. I think as women, sometimes we hold on a little longer than we're supposed to. I think it's
Right.
it's just the expectation that we're supposed to stay married. There's a
Exactly.
lot of things culturally I think that
Or
we get stuck on also.
right. Or that they just are
Hmm.
facing other things. They just don't want to be alone, so they
Yeah.
rather live miserably, But she told me years later, I can't believe you said that. That's exactly what she said to me. That's why I laughed. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And so when I'm coaching women and when people come to me and say, I want you to be my mentor, I say, you sure about that?
Oh.
I said, I need for you to talk to a couple of people because the person that you meet for sure is my 100% gifting of exhorter. I love people. I
Right.
love people and I want to see people do well. I tell you what's good or bad or indifferent about your ideas. And, in our first conversations, if you start telling me about it or I start planning with you, I'm like,
Yep.
oh, no, you need to do this. Let's work this out. You got three here, write this down, blah, blah, blah. And,
Yep.
but and then when you get into that process and you find out that your capacity to handle what it is that you feel like that you want to come in business with are the thing that you want to do. And if I'm going to tell you that you are being, slothful, I'm going to be
Mm.
honest with you. So, and that's the thing a lot of people can't handle from a perceiver person. That perceiver is going to give you honesty, hands down. So
And
if you
you
don't want to
do
know the
want
truth,
that.
right.
You
If you don't want to don't if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask a person with the perceiver gift because that's all they're gonna give you.
All right. So we're wrapping up here because we could continue talking forever. 'Cause Kathy, you and I both know we've had our meet and greet. We could sit
Right.
here and just roll with this whole episode. So, a couple of things. First, what's next for Bestie Finder?
So we are actually rolling out. We've actually added another associate coach to our team. So again, so Bestie Finder now we just really we're 3 years old and we are actually but we've been doing business much longer. But Bestie Finder is 3 years old and we find ourselves just diving into all the things Bestie Finder. So working on our matchmaking events and matchmaking your besties. You can find your bestie in life, bestie, friendships, business partners, jobs. People want to work, they want a career. They don't want to run
Yep.
a business. That's okay too. And so, but we've added the components of faith and finance,
Mm.
health and wellness, you know what I'm saying? Or just our wellness coaching, um, so we just really just rolling out all the different components of all the coaches. So you got all these different coaches that's there, and then our business coach, right? So we have wellness, ministry. Well, you got wellness, spiritual, business, even just the personal. If you just you personally want to get your act together, right?
Mm.
So we're just really amping up and ramping, getting everybody all involved in taking their gift assessments so we can help direct them in the way that they want to go.
Yeah, so there's something for you no matter where you're at in your life, whether you're looking for personal, relationship, spirituality, career, becoming a business owner. There is the gifts that you have and understanding I think that at your core self really is the next step moving forward for any of us,
For
right? Like
anybody.
you've really got to know who you are and then be able to communicate that and understand the different personalities, the different gifts that are out there and how to connect with them, how to speak to them. I mean, if you're a coach and you want to bring in more clients, you've got to learn how you're speaking to
Come
these
on.
gifts, right? Otherwise, you're never going to have a client or they're all going to be exactly like you, which a
Okay.
good thing, but I've had that experience and then it becomes a little much. Like you want the diversity of being able to talk and improve your communications.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yes. So just coming in that space of yeah, just it was I had a thought that slipped my mind, but on that, but yes, because my brain just be rolling.
Oh yeah, all the
You know.
time. All right, so how can our audience of women, and I know we've got a few men listening in on here, you guys can't help yourselves, and I love you for that because you're like, I want to
Oh,
know what women are thinking. Yes, go, Kathy.
so what it was, that's what I was just going to say. It is that's why it's so important for everybody to definitely discover their gifts. Because again, when you get coaching for any place else, you said it earlier. I don't know if it's before we got on or when we first started. Like when you go in there, tell you go figure out, go, here you go, take this the gift assessment or this personality test or whatever. But they don't tell you how to dig in and
Yep.
how to do this thing, how to live that person, that life that you just discovered, right? And so they tell you that you need to go to discover yourself, but nobody really offers how to do that.
Yeah, and you've broken that down within groups. You've said, hey, meet other people just like you, have communication, start talking to other people that are opposite of you, learn how to, like, you're giving them an opportunity to kind of like test and fail with other
Hmm.
peoples that get what we're wanting to accomplish. And I think that's the beauty of what you're creating. All right, so for our audience that's listening, Kathy, you have a
Uh-huh.
couple of things that you said you were going to give away or gifts that you were going to extend. So
Oh,
there is the first one, which is there's a course you have. It's called Bestie Finders.
Yeah, that's the Discover You course.
Okay, so the Discover You course, share a little bit about that.
So that is really all about just to discover you. So you take the gift assessment, and then we have some just some videos that you can listen to about each group. So all about the characteristics, breaking those down, and then it talks about the challenge, the areas that are challenging in those gifts. So
Okay.
that those are the things that make you clash with everybody, right? With anybody, or don't stand up or speak up for yourself. So yes, so that's what that is. So it's easy peasy, it's self-paced. You can just go to bestiefinder.net slash
Gifts course is what you
gift
have
course.
here. Yep.
Uh-huh.
And this will all be in the show notes, ladies. So, like everybody that's listening, if you have questions, no matter where you're at, if you're watching us on YouTube, you're watching us on your favorite podcast platform, down in the show notes are all of the clickable links. Grab it, follow Kathy, take her up on the gifts that she has. And then also, you have the a bestie membership. So, future bestie membership. What
Yeah, so
is
that's a future bestie. So if they
okay?
go in and just click that they want to join the community, they can scroll down. You see future bestie is free, that they can just come in and then just kind of look around, So because in there you're going to find different groups, courses, work, other types of groups going on, but they are private. So again, you
Okay.
have your private and you have your public groups in
Okay.
there. And but you still get a chance to, hang out and see all the different events. You still get to chat in your group and just different things. But I do have one more uh,
Yes.
that I wanted to share with you guys. So yeah, Bestie. So you go to bestiefinder.net, scroll and find Future Bestie, sign up, and you're in.
Got it.
But this is an opportunity for them to take a little snippet, like a little mini gift assessment for free.
Ooh.
I had my yes, I did it for. I said, let me do this for Katrina. I want to do this on her show.
Okay.
And so it's bestiefinder.net slash scan me, SCANME.
Ooh. All right, so scan me. Hold on. I got to put that down just so I make sure all my team has all this in there.
Okay.
Okay.
And so yeah, so I just got that today, hot off the press.
Woohoo! All
And
right.
it's a free glimpse, so you get to take a mini gift assessment just to give you a little snippet of your
Ooh.
gifts. And so, we would want you to, just lead you into taking the full assessment, taking the gift course.
Yeah. And I think that's beautiful because I think as we're always a little timid about taking another personality assessment. I think I've
Exactly.
taken every single one of them out there at
Me
some point
too.
over my last 15 years, 20 years, or whatever, how many years I've been doing this. So I'm really excited. I'm gonna be taking you up on this. Like I'm gonna be like, oh, I gotta do Kathy's bestie test.
Okay.
Because it's I'm curious, right? With everything that's out there, I feel like it needs to evolve. To be honest, listeners and ladies, some of these assessment tests are decades old,
Yes.
written by men. Love you guys. But I feel like you're trying to compartmentalize us in ways that we as women, we kind of grow and evolve in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
And I
In who
think,
we really are.
yeah, and who we really are. We evolve, we grow. And I think once you become a certain aware of awareness, you look to improve yourself. You're not
Yes.
staying in that state. Like you're going to go to work on where maybe you're not compassionate just to have an element and be able to communicate like that. Like so you're an ever evolving human being. And sometimes I feel like some of these assessments that yes are centuries feel like they're old. I think the evolution of them, like with the gifts, I think with things that are other tools that are out there that I really enjoyed, like I'm gonna mention another one out here. Bank is another one that I really love for learning
Hmm.
how to do sales, right? I think when you can simplify it and really make it more about community, communication, and getting to know people around you and less just about yourself,
That's right.
but really understanding how the world and people work around you, I think that's where you really, Kathy, stand out and why I loved having you on this episode of Did She Really Say That? So I really appreciate all your gifts that you're
Thank
bringing
you.
into the world. I know that we will probably be meeting up in person sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. So I really, ladies that are listening, gentlemen that are listening, take her up on her gifts that she's presented with you today. Learn more about yourself. Learn how to continue developing yourself as a leader, a communicator, somebody that is not just the me in the conversation, but me as we relate to we in this conversation.
That's right.
Because that is the strength. That is why Kathy's building communities. That's why she's doing workshops. That's why she's built out the Women University. That's why she's built out BestieFinder. It's really about creating connections and collaborations and community. So don't feel like you have to do it on your own. Start plugging in. So with that, Kathy, any last final words?
No, I look forward to seeing all my new besties inside.
I love it. All right, ladies, thank you everyone that's listening to this episode of Did She Really Say That? Because she really did. And through here, we know that time management, productivity, running a business, living life all have elements that are important to us. So we want you tapping into every episode, listening to every guest, and leaving comments and letting them know what you're finding valuable, how it's helping you in your life, business, personal, spiritual, and everything in between, because that's what Did She Really Say That is all about. So, all my listeners, we'll see you on the next episode. If today's conversation hit home, don't just listen, take the next step. Download the free Create Her Authentically guide at createherplanner.com/free and discover how to build your business in alignment with your natural rhythm. And if you love this episode, please leave a review. It helps more women find the show. I'll see you in the next episode.